What is going on, y'all? It's Whiskey Wednesday. We're having another with Espo, and I'm not in my basement. It's crazy. We're echoing because we're in Mann's Distillery down at 581 West Street in Brantford with the owner, master distiller, Craig Mann. Say hi, wave, do something.
Hello.
What's up, boys? We are trying out some of this delightful Canadian whiskey. Mann's Distilleries, Mann Botanical Spirits. What do you go by these days?
Distillery.
Mann's Distillery. We're not doing Botanical Spirits anymore. Change the name. All right.
Yeah, we did.
Gotta change my damn bar well now. Canadian whiskey, 40%. Again, can't stress enough. Highly Canadian, very Canadian produced, very local. Love that, especially these days. We're gonna do a little tasting. I've already got some poured out. Got my bookie book filled out, so I'm gonna take the neighbor's bookmark out of the way. I've got some of it a little bit ahead of the game filled out. So it is Mann's Canadian whiskey. It's aged 4-ish years, a little bit more.
Yeah,
than 4.
about that. 3.5, 4.
About 3.5, 4 years, so it's right over that threshold for actually being whiskey. Cask number 5, lot code 5. That's what I'm calling it. It says cask number. I'm giving it number 5. We're laughing on that front. It's 80 proof, 40%. Where are we? Origin. Where's it made again?
Right here.
Right here. Made right here.
Right
Delightful. Lovely Brantford. Distillery. Mann's Distillery. Beautiful. Tasting date March 5th. It's Whiskey Wednesday. We got to do it on a Wednesday. And now to the other things the book asked for. What color is it? What color would you say that is, Craig?
I'd say it's an amber.
An amber?
Amber. It's clarity is good.
Well, my crappy book doesn't have an amber, so I'm calling it a gold. Maybe
yeah,
a copper. Even.
Maybe go copper.
Maybe
yeah,
go copper.
Yeah.
I'm going to defer.
Yeah.
We're deferring down to copper. All right, clarity. I always say it's a whiskey. It better be clear.
Oh yeah.
If it's not clear, it's probably Angel's Envy.
We do filter it. Yeah.
Lovely filtered. It's nice and fast. It's not really sticking around. It's got a little bit of legs to it. There's nothing too crazy. And as far as beating goes, nothing's really lingering there. It's beating a little bit, but not really staying. For the tasting, we've got our Glencairns. We don't have any murder glasses. I didn't bring them from home. They're weapons. They're dangerous. But these will do nicely. So, without further ado, let's get a little sniff on these things.
I'll take.
So I'm getting a lot of corn right off the hop,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
makes sense because you said it was about a 70.
Yeah,
70%
so our
corn.
mash bill is predominantly corn. Qualifies technically as a bourbon. Well, not technically because it's not made in the United States.
It's not a legal bourbon, but it's
not
a
legal
bourbon style.
It's a bourbon style.
There's no fresh American oak on that one.
We're not allowed to call it bourbon, of course, because we're not in the continental U.S. But it's a bourbon style, 70 corn, 20 dark rye, and 10% wheat. So it's more very close to like a Maker's Mark mash.
Okay.
If you're looking at that.
Maker's Mark. should be pretty fun, and it's a wheater, so it should be a little sweet on the sweeter side as well, a little more mellow.
A little smoother on the palate, just because the wheat adds that nice palate.
Should knock down the rye a little bit with the wheat too.
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah. I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily like a very spicy. The spiciness of a rye is not to my palate, and since I'm the distiller, I get to make it the way I want. So we go heavier on the corn.
The best whiskey is the one you like. So that's how we go. I'm partial to a rye every now and again. Love a black Manhattan, but kind of a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of corn there. A little bit of vanilla. A lot of caramel. Get some of that old bourbon barrel oak.
Yeah.
And you're saying you blend the barrels with Canadian oak as well?
Yeah, when we first started, we've only been around 4.5 years. So when we first started barreling, we were using some used bourbon barrels. But then we also have access to Canadian oak here. So 5 kilometers away is a cooperage that does Canadian oak. All the oak is actually sourced in this area. Beautiful, beautiful barrels. About 3 times the price of the used bourbon barrel. But so we do have a number of them. We don't have all of them. So we've taken some and put it in new Canadian oak. We've got some in new American oak as well from Upper New York State.
Okay.
And then we've got used bourbon, a combination of some used Heaven Hill barrels as well as some Wild Turkey.
Oh, I love me some Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
That's
They
a
came
little bit
in-
my brand lately.
Oh
so.
yeah, these barrels came in wet too.
All right.
We actually drained some out of them and went, ooh, that's good bourbon. Yeah. We were kind of playing with it then.
Fantastic.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
I think the whiskey's meant for drinking, not for sniffing. So
Let's go.
Shall we?
Cheers.
I don't know how you're gonna take this one. It doesn't drink like it smells. That's delicious.
Oh, really?
I love it. Like off
Yeah.
the nose, it's not a palate that I really love. Or not a palate. The nose isn't something I really love, but that's really tasty. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we're thrilled with it. You know, for being a young whiskey, I mean, legally in Canada, it's got aged for 3 years, as you know, and so a lot of times you'll pull it out and you'll say, "What's it missing?" or "What does it need? Does it need some rounding out?" But I think this is just a nice, straightforward 3.5-year-old. It's a good sipper.
And honestly, for a 3.5-year-old, it doesn't taste like a 3.5-year-old. It's pretty decent on that front. So it tastes like it's got a little bit more age to it than that.
Well, we really did find a difference with the new oak versus the used oak.
And do you blend afterwards, or do you?
Yeah, we blend after. So we'll empty 2 barrels. Now, instead of me emptying a used bourbon barrel, I find that blending it with one that was aged in new oak, it really adds a lot. And it's a good combination. So I do like blending those barrels rather than, I think our first release batch 1 was a single barrel used bourbon, little harsher, I think, a little stronger on the palate, a little bit almost too much, believe it or not, even though it was used, too oaky.
Okay.
And so this actually, I think it was because lacking some of the vanillins from the oak. I think a lot of the vanillins get extracted from the new oak quicker, and they're not as prevalent in the
Could have been a
used.
weird char too. Who knows?
Yeah. And with the used ones, you don't necessarily know the char level. When we order new oak, we order char level 3, so it's 3 out of 4.
I don't know what that means.
Char levels 1 to 4, so think of it as the blacker you get, 4 is the highest. We're at a 3, so you know it adds that, and that charcoal actually helps get rid of some of the higher ethanols too, the higher, you know, the fusel oils, the higher alcohols that you don't necessarily want in a young whiskey.
And you're actually aging it in the barrels too. You're not just passing it through and touching the oak.
Oh no,
Some of those
legally,
places do.
Oh no, we have to age legally. Otherwise, we could distill and call it moonshine.
Oh yeah.
Sell it as White Dog Day 1, but we chose not to do that. We've never released a moonshine here. We've since day 1 put it in barrels and just been patient.
Yeah. And there's a time and place for moonshine, but I like whiskey.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. It's really smooth. It gets a little sweet right back here. But I dig that, man. That's a really tasty whiskey. That's nicely done.
Yeah, I'm surprised when I taste it. I'm surprised at the caramel that I get, which sometimes takes a long time to develop. And, and this one, I think it developed rather quickly.
Well, especially up here too.
And also with the predominance of the corn, it's going to be a sweeter whiskey. So I think I get more caramel just because of the sweetness.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
and I get a lot of corn out of it too.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a bottle of mellow corn where it's just, oh yeah, that's sweet corn syrup into whiskey form.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty alright. Well, typically, a little bit of extra water in that. I'm gonna.
We can dump it.
No, I'm just gonna sit it down. It's great.
Oh, there you go.
It's ice water. It is what it is. Normally, I just pop it right in. Give it a little extra taste on top of that. See if that changes up the smells.
Oh.
A little bit. It's kind of the same, actually. I'm getting a lot of the same notes on it.
Yeah, I should open it up a bit, but especially since it's 40%. If you were a higher proof, then obviously it would open it up that much more.
Definitely.
I find that with a lot of whiskeys now. It's a trend in the industry to go higher proof. So all the popular ones coming up now are 46, 47, some even in the 50s.
I've got a bottle of Booker's I'm waiting on. I think it's like 124 proof or something silly like that. And I'm a little scared, but also we'll celebrate with it. It'll be fine. we'll be in a good mood already by the time that thing opens up.
I find those, I can understand why they're doing it. It's a trend, but I generally add a cube to it.
Yeah.
Even though some whiskey, people will be aghast.
Typically prefer it with ice as well. I can get through it on its own. Typically, one of my favorites right now is a Peerless single barrel bourbon, and it's a gorgeous bottle. It looks like an old keg kind of thing. Great cork on top of it, and I think it's 116 proof or something like that. And it's a fine sipper. You never know it was 116 right off the hop. But yeah, once you throw it on, it just opens right up, and it's delicious.
Nice.
Well, that's wonderful. All right then. Typically we take some of your whiskey and find out if it old fashions. I'm not worried about that. I think it's gonna do just fine on that front. You've actually got a cocktail behind the bar here, barrel aged, that got me into that cocktail. So one of my favorite cocktails, and I think I'm no, still in frame. Sometimes in the way. Cool. We've got a barrel aged revolver here. This is the barrel that got me into revolvers in the first place. Love them, can't get enough of them. Went to a birthday party about a year and a half back, and everyone was drinking their craft beers.
Really?
Because that's what they're all doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I had my bottle of Mann's and my bottle of whiskey, and no one was drinking their craft beers anymore at the end of the night. Let's put it that way.
Well, the story goes.
Guys keep coming up to me going, what's that? And I go, it's a revolver. You want to try it? And they try it, and they go, I have one?
Well, I think it's called the revolver because it was developed by a bartender that used bullet bourbon.
That's the thing. Bullet goes in a revolver.
Bullet goes in a revolver. So we don't use bullet. We use our whiskey, and we use our own coffee liqueur in it. And our own coffee liqueur has some different notes than they would mix it with their coffee liqueur. So I think the combination is beautiful.
I love it together, man. Your coffee liqueur, we talked about it a little earlier. Your coffee liqueur is one of my favorites. Not one of my. It is my favorite coffee liqueur. I miss the old skinny bottles. I thought they were super cool looking.
Customer
But this
demand.
looks like a little bit more of it, so I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, customer demand. They complained that it was too small of a bottle.
Fair enough.
So
I did go through them pretty
We
quick.
put it in the bigger bottle.
I did go through them pretty quick. I've got a couple of those rocket bottles left
Yeah.
over. I did some like drip wax over top of them and like stamped it.
Oh yeah.
So I use those for some syrups now. And
People tell me
corny
they're
with
putting
that.
candles in them.
Oh god, yeah. I'm gonna turn one into a lamp. It's fantastic. But yeah, your coffee liqueur, it's less. You said it's a quarter of the sugar as compared to
Yeah,
the brand?
even when you look at it, you can tell it's not syrupy, sticky
Mhm.
like a Kahlua. That's because those Kahlua, most of the liqueurs that you buy in the liquor store, first of all, they're 17%. This is 23.
Love that.
This is more of a traditional what a liqueur is supposed to be. And it's not that when you pour it, even when you pour it, you'll note that it's different because it's not that syrupy, sticky, sweet.
Got a little bit here.
Look, it's more of a traditional alcohol. There you go. See, even when you pour it, if you give it a spin, you'll notice there are legs on it, obviously, because there is sugar.
Okay.
But it's
Liqueur kinda has
it's
to.
1/4 of the sugar of a Kahlua. Look.
Oh, and you can smell the coffee right off of
that
it.
kid, isn't it?
You'll be fine. We're not live. It's fine.
We can edit that out.
We won't
Yeah.
because we're bad at editing.
And then when we make it, we use Brazilian coffee, but then we also steep it
Oh,
with
yeah.
some cocoa nibs.
That smells like fresh coffee right now.
Yeah.
And again, I always have some in my bar. It's fantastic. The cocoa nibs come through, like even before I knew
Yeah.
you guys were doing that.
Some
The
people
first
taste
sip,
it, they don't get it, and they go.
The first
and
sip
then
was chocolate.
Within about 10 seconds, they go, oh, wow.
Love it.
And that's real cocoa nibs. Actually, I was just at a cacao farm 2 days ago touring, so I have an appreciation for cacao.
So good. So good. Love that. It's a wonderful coffee liqueur. This is supposed to be a whiskey day. We're talking about coffee liqueur now because
Yeah.
that's just what we're doing.
But it's a beautiful pairing.
It's wonderful together, man. Love
And
it.
what ratio do you normally do?
Normally I do 2-1-2 and then a little bit of orange on the outside.
Exactly. So this, and then when we put it in the barrel, it just sits there and ages in the barrel, and the barrel actually just melds those flavors together. And we happen to use, I like it with orange
Yes.
bitters,
Same here.
and so I put some orange bitters in there as well. And
Love
so
it.
the three flavors just sit there and meld, and you pour it directly from the barrel. It's just a beautiful.
Fantastic. Well, can we try it out?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's do.
I feel like you're going down here.
Let's do.
There you go.
You said you liked orange. We're going to take it one step further.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that one, no, because that one is broken. Get a little orange peel on that as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to add another type of bitter.
No, that'd be silly things.
We play with it.
So, a little spritz, little spritz,
Thank you.
little spritz, little nose.
Definitely need that.
Get you on the edge. Get a little wet, make
Oh.
you think an orange later.
Get that right as soon as you.
Oh, yeah. Smells like tangerine. Good
Oh,
lord.
it's beautiful.
Oh, and the whiskey and that coffee liqueur together is fantastic.
Wow.
Like I said, it became one of my go-to. I was way too much on a revolver kick for quite a while after I tried
Yeah.
it here. So
Yeah. That's cool. It's almost like one of those orange balls that you crush
Which is
and add some booze to
I
it.
hate those things. Girlfriend loves them.
But
This is fantastic.
Yeah, no, this
Coffee
is
and orange
nice.
man goes together real well.
Yeah, and this is what this is what people are migrating to. The old days. I'm very old. You know, our idea in high school of a cocktail was a screwdriver, orange juice and vodka. But nowadays, you know, it's more spirit forward
We just threw
cocktails,
some Coke in it.
more appreciation. Yeah, you know, you don't load this up with Coke. We don't want you doing that. It would taste good, actually. It'd be very sweet. But,
It'd be fine.
but
You can do
this
it.
is the way
There's
to
a
do
time
it.
and a place.
This is the way to do it.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Not to be a cocktail snob about it, but I kind of am one.
Yeah.
No, we've come a long way since high school. We used to mix a bottle of Crown Royal with a bottle of Pepsi Max and a splash of tahini treat. It was triple threat for anyone watching at home.
Sure.
It was real bad. We used to pre-bottle it. Wasn't a good idea.
That's a new one. See, I'm gonna pour my whiskey on.
Sounds like a great idea. Oh.
Mm.
Even after being another bottle, I can't believe how much that fresh coffee is coming right off it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, man. Really appreciate that. So you're saying you like to play around with the bitters with it as well.
Mhm.
I do that a little bit with my old fashions. Lately, I've been on a little bit of a kick with a bottle of New Riff I picked up in Florida. That, and I'll add some coffee bitters and some chocolate bitters as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's been kind of like just to kind of mess around with that
Yeah.
revolver feel without really being there.
Yeah.
Every now and again, I'll throw a little splash of either chocolate liqueur or coffee liqueur in with it and just see how it goes and
Yeah.
kind of play around that way.
So that's your favorite.
That's
Believe it
just,
or not,
that's just what I've
mine-
been messing around with lately.
Yeah. I've got rhubarb. Rhubarb is one of my favorite right now, but that's
been-
more. Is that more gin and vodka?
I've been
Drinks?
trying to think. I've actually picked up a bottle of the rhubarb. I picked up a bottle of the grapefruit a couple weeks back. The grapefruit I've used. It's fantastic in some of the gin drinks I've made. The rhubarb I'm still playing around with. I haven't quite got what I want to make with it yet, but
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm definitely doing an episode with some of that.
Yeah. For your whiskey, one thing I know some people just say it sounds weird, but I love the cardamom.
Yeah.
Cardamom with whiskey is a great combination. You know, if you like that chai tea and all of a sudden you add it to whiskey, it's like what? And it's our cardamom bitters. We use really nice cardamom to make these, and it's really good flavor. So I love that in a whiskey drink.
When I was playing around with my apple pie old fashioned, that was the finisher.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
So we started off with an Applejack.
Yeah.
Probably should have gone wiser with apple, but I had a bottle of Applejack. I was like, I'm going to find some way to use this, and I did. It turned out pretty well. So we were making some apple pie. Tried that out a little bit. I believe it was Applejack as the main base, a little bit of vanilla vodka, a little bit of salted caramel crown,
Yeah. Okay.
Did I put any syrup? I think I put a little bit of simple syrup in that. But I was playing around with cinnamon simple syrup, but it was too cinnamon. It was
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
off the top.
Yeah.
So the salted caramel crown was what kind of took it over the edge and made it taste like a pie again.
Well, okay. I thought the cinnamon would have complemented the apple.
The cinnamon does,
Yeah.
but it's got to be. It's so it's such an aggressive flavor. It's
Yeah,
got to come
yeah,
down
you
a
gotta
bit.
be
So
careful
I
with
ended
it.
up talked about the
That's
spritz
like
bottles
something
earlier. I just
a,
spritz some fireball over top.
it's like a fennel. You know,
Ooh.
I love the fennel. I love anise.
Ooh.
But if you go overboard, then
He's still my little Italian heart. I
you go
know.
overboard, right?
I don't think I've actually tried that. Is that one open?
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'll do the bar one here.
That works even good.
Fennel.
Water break. Gotta stay hydrated, kids.
Well, it's open now because we've got one here.
Well, there we go.
There you go.
If you don't mind, I'd love to try that one out. Like that. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, all our bitters are pretty potent. You only need a couple drops.
That's really tasty, man. That's like it's the mellowest black licorice candy I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
delicious. If you don't like black licorice, you ain't gonna like it.
No.
I do.
Keep that one
That's
separate.
wonderful.
So-
But yeah, you guys have what? Just over a dozen.
We
bitters
have
on
about
right
14,
now?
yeah,
14.
14 different types of bitters, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in room.
Want to try some?
What? Might as well.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
We're messing around.
That's a lot. Three drops in.
You know what? We'll be okay. I've put some, I've maybe put some anisette in the coffee before.
Oh, that changes it.
Weird. The fennel doesn't really come through for
Yeah.
me, but it mellows it right the hell out.
Yeah.
It kind of knocks out some of the bitterness from the coffee,
Mhm.
and the coffee's not that bitter to begin with. That's really cool. Yeah. So what's your go-to cocktail right now, Craig? I mean, it doesn't have to be whiskey, but it is whiskey Wednesday.
I can't say Negroni.
You can totally say
I
Negroni.
love Negroni. We do something slightly different. My favorite Negroni is not, our Negroni here is not a standard Negroni.
Okay.
It's slightly different, and it's because I use my grapefruit gin in it. So because the grapefruit gin's a little bit more bitter, rather than Campari, I'll use Aperol.
Yep.
And so it's still 1-1-1. The Campari, or sorry, the gin, the Campari, the sweet vermouth. But instead of Campari, we're using sweet Aperol
Okay.
and the sweet vermouth. But our grapefruit gin with it as well. So it does balance out the extra sweet. Because the Aperol is a little sweeter than your Campari. But I think it's the best Negroni I've ever had.
I do something
Wonderful.
similar, but I make a. It's not a Negroni. It's more like it was supposed to be like a Mimosa, but grapefruit style.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of grapefruit juice, your grapefruit gin, also Aperol because I just don't have the Campari in the house for whatever reason, and then I topped it off with a grapefruit beer.
Mm.
So it was the Slimans one. I didn't have any regular radlers around, but it's really refreshing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really refreshing.
Well, I mean, definitely my favorite whiskey is the Manhattan. I mean, we have a barrel. This is our #1 seller right here, our barrel aged Manhattan, and that's just our Canadian whiskey with sweet vermouth, but then also our bitters. So since we make our own bitters and that, and again, it sits in there, all the flavors meld. You pour it directly from a barrel. It's wonderful, wonderful.
Love
You can
that.
never go wrong with a good Manhattan.
Oh, I bet you I can. As someone who, for what I like vermouth on its own, I love whiskey on its own, and then you combine them, and I just can't. For whatever reason, it just gets this weird metallic-y flavor that I can't deal with. For me, anyway, it's what I pick up on, and it's just not my bag. But I wish I did. It's the same. I wish I could order so many things, but I can't order a gin and tonic. It's the same kind of thing. It's just too metallic up in there. Too much tonic.
Every palate's different.
It's just not for me, but it sounds so much fun to work.
Well,
Manhattan, please. Yeah.
For whiskey also, I find that if I was to make a whiskey sour, I do like it with the egg white to give that frothiness, the mouthfeel, a little bit of crema on top. When I make my whiskey sour, I'll smoke my glass beforehand.
Okay.
And I'll just smoke it with a cinnamon stick. So I'll torch a cinnamon stick.
I love that.
And that cinnamon with the whiskey sour is just, I think it's a beautiful whiskey sour.
Love that. That's
And
fantastic.
it's a great, you don't have to be a hardcore whiskey drinker to love it.
God,
You've got
it's an introductory drink. It's fantastic. That one.
it's a
I feel like the cardamom might actually go well with that too.
It's a gateway drug into whiskey, for sure.
Definitely. No, it's fantastic. Yeah, love a whiskey sour. Back to grapefruit. Made a lovely grapefruit whiskey sour, but it was also a rye cocktail.
Oh, okay.
Just delightful. And yeah, the neighbor really loved it. She almost didn't make it all the way home from 20 feet away. Yeah. All right. What else can you tell me today?
What do you want to know? Do you want to know? We've talked about bitters. We've talked about the spirits. It's an interesting time right now. So I think we should all be looking at local distilleries and trying their stuff. I've had
Canadian.
I go to competitors all the time. Call them competitors.
Yeah.
We're not really a competitive bunch because there's really only 30 of us in Ontario. There's 650 craft breweries. There's only 30, quote, there's about 65 listed on LCBO, but a lot of those are not true distilleries. We actually make the product here. I actually make it for a couple of other ones that, they sell their own product under their own name, but I actually make it. But if you get a chance to go to a local distillery and just try their stuff, just to go for a tasting flight, there's some really, really good products out there.
Oh, I tried to.
It's local. And, this is, the rye here comes from Brant Flour Mills, which is 10 kilometers away. The corn is actually, I pick it up in Chatham because I don't have a mill here. So I actually use a supplier out of Chatham, but it's all Ontario corn. You don't need to go international.
Oh, God.
Our gins, our vodka is 100% corn. You know, we make liqueurs from Hass-caps that are grown 5 kilometers away, and it's a quality product, and you don't necessarily have to pay a lot. You know, the fact that you're not shipping thousands of miles means that we can be competitive. I wish we could be more competitive. If,
Again, under
government
40 bucks a
supported
bottle.
us.
Under 40 bucks a bottle, kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they seem like they're every time they can, they'll dig into the restaurants and bars, and I'm guessing distilleries are feeling the same heat.
Oh, well, distilleries, spirits have always been very tough to regulate, or very hard regulations for spirits in Canada. It hasn't changed much. We don't have I mean, there's a reason there's only 30 distilleries in Ontario, because 650 craft breweries, they don't have near the taxes and that we pay. But that's just a reality. But I think if you can support the local person making products, I think it's great.
Totally. We like to do that here. It's super fun. Super Canadian. Like I said, heart of Brantford, 581 West Street. I think I'm still getting that right.
You got her.
Nailed it. This guy.
Nailed it.
3 drinks in, still nailing it. All right. Again, I love this place. I came in when you guys first opened up, and we had a blast. I've been dying for a cocktail bar. Even before I started doing this, I was dying for a cocktail bar in town, because I like a cocktail. I like being able to come in and maybe try out a couple of whiskey. You can't see this on the. No, maybe you can. Yeah, you can see those there. Those are fancy bottles, is what those are.
Oh yeah.
I know you see a lot of bottles behind me every week, but those are fancy bottles. So I've actually come in and tried a couple before I was about to buy some.
Yeah.
I think I tried Weller here for the first time. just
Oh,
'cause
good choice. Yeah.
When the hell would I have a chance to try it?
Yeah.
So I picked up a couple bottles when I was in Calgary. Love it. Fantastic that way. Same with Russell's, maybe. I think you sent all the Russells up here. Could be around. Would have been a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I go LCBO shopping, I usually like to come here because I know you guys have a selection that maybe I can get a few tips on.
Yeah, it's nice to have a shot before you invest $90 or $100 or $110.
Very much the case.
Or $120.
Very much the case. I'll very much try that instead. But yeah, when you guys first opened up, we came in, we had a blast. We brought the neighbors, brought family, just came, chilled out. Bought way too much stuff out of your merch pile because we had a lot of fun.
Doesn't go bad.
Does not go bad. That shirt is one of my favorite sleep shirts, man. It's so comfy. And yeah, that's kind of part of what got me into doing this whole thing in the first place. Was I was messing around with some of your product. We came and got a little served, and I came out with a bunch of product. I bought some of your white tea. I think I bought the lavender gin because it was cool looking. A bunch of bitters and some, probably the triple sec as well. And I was sitting around at home and messing around with some of the stuff. It was a couple days later, messing around with some of the white tea gin. I was like, I'm not a huge gin guy. It's not bad. I am more now. I get more into it these days. And it was the white tea gin. I was like, I've got some blood orange syrup. I like blood orange gin. Try this out.
Yeah.
So a little white tea gin, little blood orange syrup, little fizzy water. Well, that's pretty good. It's missing something though. A couple dashes of orange bitters, and all of a sudden it tasted like McDonald's drink.
Oh my gosh.
Which is on your website still, I think, because I came back, got a little tipsy face, and told the bartenders, and they seemed excited about it.
Nice.
So, yeah, this was part of my fake bartender journey, and thank you for that. So,
Well, as long as
thanks
you
for
have
being
fun doing
time. Yeah, man, it's a great time. I love coming down here. Great room upstairs, lovely lounge, great bar over here, and knowledgeable servers. Erica, hey. Say a very loud hello.
Hello.
She's lovely too. She's over there slinging. And like I said, just wanted to say thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being here, and
Come back anytime. We're always happy to have you here.
Love that. Maybe we can talk about some gin next time.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's wrap that up. That was Have Another with Espo. It's still Whiskey Wednesday. There's some whiskey in this glass. We're having fun with it. There's a lovely revolver. This is Craig Mann down at Mann's, 581 West Street, Brantford, Ontario. Come get you some, baby. Cheers.
Well, that was